President Trump striking a big trade deal with Japan, and Eamon Javers joins us right now with more and all of the latest. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, Andrew. We don't have a lot of details here from the White House, but we do have a statement that we got overnight from Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba talking about this deal. He says if necessary, he's going to speak with President Trump or meet with him in person, but he's going to review the details of the deal. He said this is going to lead to both countries being able to cooperate and create jobs, produce great products, and fulfill various roles in the international community. And here's the statement that the president put out on Truth Social yesterday, offering what we know of the details of this trade deal so far. The president saying, we just completed a massive deal with Japan, perhaps the largest deal ever made. Japan will invest, at my direction, $550 billion into the United States, which will receive 90% of the profits. Put a pin on that for a second. This deal will create hundreds of thousands of jobs. There's never been anything like it. Perhaps most importantly, Japan will open their country to trade, including cars and trucks, rice and certain other agricultural products and other things. Japan will pay reciprocal tariffs to the United States of 15%. This is a very exciting time for the U.S. of A., and especially for the fact that we will continue to always have a great relationship with the country of Japan. That from the President of the United States. So the question here, Andrew, is, what are those profits from the deal, and how are those 90% profits going to go to the United States? Is the President suggesting some kind of fund or some other mechanism whereby the U.S. can profit from trade directly? So we'll wait for the White House to provide a little bit more detail. But this comes on the back of a day where we also had trade deals with the Philippines, a trade deal with Indonesia, or at least framework of a deal with Indonesia, and all points to a world where tariffs are higher than they had been certainly in January, significantly higher, but less than the president had threatened. That 15% for Japan, Andrew, is lower than the 25% that he'd threatened that country with just a short time before. So the president's negotiating style pretty clear here. What he wants is higher tariffs, and that's what he's getting, guys. Back over to you.
I want to go back to the 550, and I want to go back to the cars, because we could probably look at some car makers.
In just a second.
We're going to do that just okay. We're going to hold off on just looking at some of the stocks for a second. But in terms of the 550 piece, what's the possibility that that is effectively the collection from 15%?
Yeah, that's interesting. That is the way the president thinks. That could be what he's talking about there. We're going to have to get more clarity from the president in terms of, and from the White House in terms of what he's talking about there, or if that's some other sidecar deal regarding investment, buying products, that sort of thing. That has often been done in these trade deals in the past, where you announce some large agricultural purchases over time, something like that. So we'll wait and see what the White House has to say this morning.
And to the extent that you can forecast / speculate about the future, does this model, or is this a model for other countries? If you were to look at the kind of deal that India could strike, or others could strike, does this sound like a bespoke deal, or is this something you think we're going to start to see across the board?
I mean, it's right in range with the other deals, right? I mean, it seems like each of these is individually negotiated with the countries in question, but you're looking at, 19, 15, somewhere in there in terms of a percent tariff. That's what the president's focused on. And then opening up access to U.S. goods to that market. We'll see what opportunities now exist for U.S. exporters in some of these markets. What can U.S. manufacturers sell to Japan, Indonesia, and the Philippines that they couldn't do, earlier this week? That's an open question, I think, for manufacturers to see what the size of that opportunity really is when you look at what those markets traditionally need and buy, and what the U.S. traditionally, makes and sells. But I think, yeah, it is a template in the sense that, you're ending up with tariffs in the teens and some sort of lowering of tariffs on the U.S. And opportunity for ag and other purchases.
Okay. Eamon, we will be back to you, I'm sure, as we sort through what is a complicated transaction. Thank you.